Good evening and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. This is our Lions Raw show, and it is raw tonight. It's a total capitulation at Craven Cottage, as the title of this video, this live stream says. Thank you so much for joining us to reflect on Fulham 3, Aston Villa 0, and what Kev has to be Steven Gerrard's final game in charge of Aston Villa. And I don't know, if any game summed up his reign, this game was it.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see cabbages or turnips or something thrown at the dugout after that, because when you felt like it was the end for Mr. Bruce, and obviously the Southampton game for Dean, dear to our heart, Smith. This is it. This is the end now. This has to be the end. I mean, I can't see what the point would be in keeping him to Brentford. The fans have totally turned, as you can just see and hear from watching the TV. What would the point be? I mean, it's such a low point for a club, considering all of the rhetoric that the club themselves put out at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many comments coming in already. We got great numbers watching already, so please drop a like on the video. I know it's difficult at the minute. We'll go through some comments in a second, because I think they just sum up the mood of everything right now. Before we get into the game as well, like I say, if anything could go wrong in that game, it did go wrong in that game. A goal from a set piece, a sending off, an own goal, a penalty. It just completely summed up what is happening at Aston Villa at the moment. And yeah, before we get into all that, let's go in through the comments, because we've got so many coming through at the minute, Kev. AJ is in the house. Fraud out tonight. 4 words that probably sum up at the moment everything that's happening: pathetic, turgid, shite, repeat, which is basically what's been happening. Football United, big up everyone. If I hear anything about the club badge tomorrow and not his sacking, I'm going to lose it. The players also need to have a good look in the mirror tonight. Yeah, we will mention that, Brett. Thanks for the comment. But I think, it's when you haven't got any direction in it, and completely, after that sending off, you could just tell that the players are just completely lost any sort of faith in leadership and in direction, really.
Yeah, that sending off was the Glenn Whelan missed penalty moment, wasn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely,
100%. Dave, not sure there's anything to discuss tonight, is there, lads? When Villa look as disorganised as number 10 Downing Street currently, there are huge issues. Absolutely. AJ again, get Steve out. Fulham's biggest Premier League win for 9 years against Villa. Follow Liz Truss and get out. Got to do the decent thing. T1 is joining us. Thanks so much. I feel so empty right now, and Rachel feels exactly the same.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. And Mark Farrington, just when you thought watching Villa couldn't get more depressing, yeah, absolutely. Stealthy, he needs to go because the atmosphere, and he's given up, not his ability. I think he'll be successful elsewhere, but don't be fooled that he's only a problem. Them at the top have a lot to answer for. Yeah, I think it's just, like we've said on numerous podcasts, there's so many issues at the moment, and unfortunately you can't change a full team, and it has to be the manager that goes. But equally, you can see that they've kind of lost faith, and it's just everything's just going wrong. That game just summed up that everything is going wrong at the moment.
Yeah, mate. It's a combination of factors. Absolutely, Gerrard I think he's out of his depth. Whether he'll be a good manager or not remains to be seen. But you've only to see the great work Michael Beale's done, taking QPR to the top of the Championship in his first managerial job, and the ideas they've got, and the inventiveness they've got, and the excitement of how they play. And we are devoid of all of that. But I do think absolutely, this is the thing that always strikes me whenever I watch the club now, is that we look at Fulham tonight, right? Intensity. They were up for it. They had a bit of fight. They had a bit of physicality. We've known for absolute years, that we've not been a physical enough team, not been a strong enough team. We know we've not been a quick enough team. And that's why we've got players like McGinn trying to compete in that midfield against people. Players like, with respect, Louise, who I think is a decent player.
Slows it down so much. Slows the game down so much. He should be setting the tempo for how we play. Was it Palhinha or something in their midfield?
Yeah,
Like
all over
quite a tall. Yeah, absolutely all over him. But passing the ball with purpose quickly. Willian stunk the place out at Arsenal, and he looked like prime Willian today. Absolute prime Willian. But it's just a basic facet of football that you have to compete first. You have to put your foot in. You have to match the other team's intensity, and then you can start to put your presence on the game. But we're just standing off. We're letting people get run past us. We're letting people win 50-50s. We're when we get the ball, we're too slow to move into position. We're too slow to pass it. It's just so pedestrian, and like I say, there's such a combination of factors, but that is literally, if a manager's coming in, that is literally the first thing that they need to bang some heads together. And I think what annoys me as well is, or actually what is so like obvious to see is that, I mean, if I look at Austin McPhee, right, and I'm a footballer, I'm not listening to a word that guy says.
No.
He's got no presence. He's got no credibility. And he's telling the subs what to do when they come on. Like, you're just going to be like, yeah, all right, mate.
Yeah.
He's just no. And then you've got like Critchley, who just looks like an absolute rabbit in the headlights. He's just looking like he doesn't know what's happening. And I think that appointment was doomed from the moment it started. He couldn't even get out to bloody Australia to the pre-season. Like, how is he then gonna instill any sort of idea when he's got a week till the start of the season?
Well, it was such a metaphor, wasn't it? That like he couldn't find his passport, for his big journey, and we've certainly got no way of moving on in our journey at the moment as a club, because there's problems galore, and I do think as well, going back to previous transfer windows, we wanted to get some experience in the team, hence the Digne signing, hence the Coutinho signing. But come the summer, I really felt like this was going to be a really exciting summer for us as a club, and we'd make some statement signings and solve that issue of midfield physicality, which we've talked about a lot. And we did it on the last day of the season with the Dendoncker signing, and he's hardly played. And I don't think any of us were like, oh my God, amazing. We thought he might be a solid player for the squad. Wasn't that intensity we thought we were going to get in that midfield. Kamara, admittedly, has had an injury, but he's fairly slight. I don't think he's particularly physical. I don't think he was ever going to solve that problem. We didn't do anything in the attacking areas at all.
Oh, it's criminal. It's absolutely criminal. Look at Mitrovic today. Just look at the way he holds the ball up. Just look at the way he takes pressure off their defense by holding it up, by winning fouls, by winding the opposition up. Look what he did. He got a player sent off for them. Scores a penalty. He makes a nuisance of himself. He's a presence in both boxes.
Mate, it's that exactly.
It is so embarrassing that we haven't addressed the issue up front.
Yeah, when the ball's in the air and he's attacking the ball, he's like, I'm having that. There was one, wasn't in the first half, where when they went on that break and they should really have probably scored, and it looped up in the air, and Mitrovic had no right to get it, and he just charged across the box, got ahead. I didn't quite make it. It's just a want and a desire for the ball. Fulham are, for me, they're a championship team. Fine, they're not. They're a Premier League team, but you know what I mean. They're a newly promoted team. Fine, they bought a few players, but not that many. Playing against a team that have been established back in the Premier League now for 3-4 years, with designs on the top 10, and it looks like the other way around. And that's looked like that as well against the likes of a Bournemouth this season. Yeah. Against other teams that we've played, where we had. Our game against Forest was literally probably like, I don't know, Forest playing against Blackpool in the Championship, a 1-1 draw at the City Ground. I mean, where's the quality? Where's the class? You talk about Willian. He was a busted flush at Arsenal a couple of years back. Now I'm looking at him thinking we've signed the wrong Brazilian 30-odd-year-old. And, moving around, popping the ball. They were doing like 1-2 passes around us with Pereira. It is just an embarrassment. And do you know what? The writing's been on the wall for ages. and the club need to do something about it. There's a generation of Villa fans now that I think are on the edge. We've been promised all this fun. Well, do you know what? Like, it's getting to the point now where my lad sat there 8 years old, slumped in his seat, and I'm thinking, you know what? Give him another 12 months of this, and all his mates are watching Man City. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking my son. Like, as people might know, I live in Newcastle, and it's fantastic at the moment. You know, living in Newcastle with how badly they're doing and how well we're doing. And I'm taking my son to his first Villa match on his first Villa away game on Saturday. And honestly, I don't know what I'm letting myself in for with it. I feel sorry for him because look at the state we're in. The only thing I can hope is, I was, as people know, I always wanted to give Steven Gerrard the best opportunity. I was calling for him when it was time for Dean Smith to go. I thought he would be I thought he was an up and coming manager. I thought he'd had that right sort of spirit about him. He'd created that ruthlessness in our side. But yeah, it's just not working. He's got to go. It's toxic. He looked at him on the bench today. He knew, and you can't survive. You can't survive a situation today where, like I say, you've had a goal from a set piece where he's just completely left open. You've got a sending off where Luis just completely lost his head, and you can argue whether it should have been a sending off or not. It's just silliness. A penalty, an own goal, like. He's got to go. He's got to go.
Do you know there was a tweet out there from a betting company tonight saying, having a player sent off, conceded a penalty and scored an own goal, the first time a team has ever done all three in one match in the Premier League. Fair play, Stevie.
Yeah. What a way to go. What a way to go.
Absolutely.
Photo, Sankey, get him out now. Luke Powell, a good manager. A good player doesn't make a good manager. Skippy G out now. Chris Darby, whole team didn't have a clue. And what has Critchley done as well as Gerrard? Yeah, 100%. Gaza in the house. Need to get him out of the club before it turns really toxic and someone does something stupid on the park in protest. Well, there was some chanting going on today, and louder than the Fulham fans were singing. Peter Sheriff, manager out of his depth, hired effectively on work experience after just beating Neil Lennon in the two-team league, and Neil Lennon just being sacked by a Cypriot team. End it now.
Rich, I got a question for you, mate. I got a question for you. Sorry, read that last comment first, and then I'll dive into this question.
Yeah, players not interested in playing for him, and I don't believe the players believe in McGinn being captain. It's clear and obvious. Yeah, we'll talk about McGinn later because, honestly, that guy.
Here's my question, mate. We've got Steven Gerrard, we've got Neil Critchley, we've got Aaron Danks, we've got Austin Nanny McPhee, we've got Neil Cutler,
Gary McAllister.
Gary McAllister, forgot about. What do they do? Where is the evidence of coaching? Tell me where defensively, up until tonight, we've been reasonably solid, but you bring in the ball out of defense. Where are we? Where's the midfield? Pressing, intensity, creativity. Where's the shape? Where's the attacking play? Bailey, oh my God. I mean, I can't believe how out of place he looks. He looks like a five-a-side player that's been given an opportunity. He looks like he's won a competition. I can't believe how bad he is, and he's the star winger from Europe. It's just an absolute embarrassment. And tell me where the evidence is. To give me one bit where you can see any coaching has been good. Free kicks, systems, attacking play, counter attacks. Mate, can you tell me anything we can see has been good coaching?
No. I think it totally summed it up with that video that they put, that the Villa social media team put out yesterday of them, the 40-second video of them in training, where it was a series of players stepping over some high hurdles, and then a couple of shots of people dribbling around some mannequins. And then there was no atmosphere. There was no one like laughing or joking. There was just a couple of coaches saying, "Well done."
It was like watching, I imagine, the North Korea team training.
Yeah, I think it's almost as if there's so many coaches there that they're looking for stuff to do.
There's a phrase, isn't there? Too many cooks spoil the broth.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's
absolutely.
true.
And you've got Austin McPhee, standing up and pretending to do stuff and like telling the subs what to do when they come on. Then you've got Neil Critchley standing up for a couple of minutes, and you've got Gary McAllister like sitting next to Gerrard, like trying to look important. Like Aaron Danks was meant to be the attacking coach, like you say. Like where's the the attacking movements? Where's the extra finishing training that he should be doing with the players? Where's the if we haven't got tall and big strikers, where's the movement that's if the striker drops off into the midfield, where's the two wide wide forwards running in diagonally behind him? Where's the run from midfield with or without the ball from Jacob Ramsey? Like there's so many basic things that I've got my UEFA B coaching badge. There's so many basic things that you would just learn off that in terms of like how to coach third man runs, how to coach attacking movements. It's not difficult. um so yeah, it's just honestly, there's too many. There's far too many coaches, and there's far too many voices that are trying to be heard, and none are being heard at all.
Yeah, there's just no evidence of that continuous improvement. And that was, Gerrard was sat there in the press conference alongside Purslow when he was announced. And, continuous improvement is what we're after as a club. That's why Dean Smith's got to go. And there is not a bit. Can't point to a single player improving.
Yeah.
You can maybe
Yeah.
make an argument for Jacob Ramsey, but he was on the periphery of the team under Smith as a young player, and he came through. But even he's really regressed this season compared to last, and that maybe was natural for a young player to drop off. But still, and I still don't think he's been utilised in the right position. I think he should be played maybe wide or more further forward rather than kind of amongst it in the midfield. I don't know what the likes of. Not that I think this is the golden ticket. But what's Sanson got to do to get a chance in that midfield? What's Nakamba got to do to get a chance in that midfield? And Mark, obviously friend of the pod, has sent some really, really good stats actually on Nakamba. Apparently, our loss rate with Marvis Nakamba, it's 46.55%. Without, it's 50.75%. So we've got a better rate of not losing games with Nakamba in the team.
He's the only one in our team who gets about the pitch really quickly, and yeah, it's a real puzzle as to why he hasn't been playing. And I almost think it's kind of pig-headedness from Gerrard a little bit, because he's made McGinn captain, that he has to continue playing him. And he's probably our worst midfielder. I will say that. I think he's our worst midfielder, particularly at the moment. He's so out of form. He looks a couple of pounds overweight. And I'm not one to talk, but this is for a Premier League elite level footballer. And yeah, his passing's woeful. He doesn't shoot. He had one shot today, but he hardly ever shoots. And yeah, he's just too far off the pace. You could see it today, like just his starting position. And when he decided to run, he would run, and then he would end up being in no man's land. So the players would just pick him off. Like he was neither standing off or attacking or attacking for the ball. And it was just so disjointed as well. Like it's almost like the performance against Chelsea was like forced, and it was a forced attacking performance, whereas today was just back to normal type.
But also, mate, don't forget, we played well against Chelsea when they were having a real off day in that first half. A real off day. They had Kukurea out at the back. Wasn't doing great. I think they played three at the back, didn't they? And they probably took some liberties with us, and we created some chances. We played well against Man City. We had a bit of fight against Man City, but they had an off day as well, and they also missed a lot of chances. And of those two games, which are always looked at as being, look at how Villa can perform, we got 1 point, and we were lucky to get that point. I also think, looking where we've come from as a club, looking where Fulham have come from, I mean, it was literally 2 years ago in September, so 2 years and a month ago, that we beat Fulham in this fixture 3-0 at Craven Cottage, and we had Trezeguet and Conor Harahan starting that night, and we had the likes of Al Mohammadi and Jed Steer and Courtney Hawes and Keenan Davis on the bench. 3-0, we beat them away.
We did have one certain player playing.
Yeah, I know we had a certain player who's moved on to Manchester, but But
Yeah.
still,
No, I
you know,
take your point. I take your point.
are we a better team 2 years later?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, no, clearly not. We'll go through sort of the goals and some more of the individual players in a second, mate. Because yeah, we're ranting as well as kind of trying to have a bit of format to this. But a few more comments. Players are not interested in playing for him, and I don't believe the players believe him again. Yeah. T1, I think the players are frustrated as well. Played for him to get sacked, and again, I should have bet my house on him only giving Archer 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't think he actually really touched the ball either. Chris Darby, midfield is woeful. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
has been
And
for
our
ages.
attackers from Gaza. Yep,
100%.
yep. Critchley, yeah, AJ, we've just talked about him. Austin McPhee from Hearts and Dundee, done nothing in his career. How is he in a job at our club? Yeah, I totally agree. We're 1 goal shy of the bottom 3. No chance of Poch coming. I think that was just I don't know how that rumor came about, but wishful thinking. Brentford will batter us. It's not just Gerrard and his backroom team that need to go. Perslow and Langan need to leave the club also. I think Gaz is agreeing with that. Less than 50% of, or more than 50% of the performances in the heads. SG has mismanaged this and broke the players' confidence. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's more than 50%. Yeah. Wonder what I should have had for everything of all that to happen today in one match.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Did Gerrard get his coaching badges from the same place as Bruce? Probably. Yeah. He just said he was amongst the players at half time. Well, that didn't work. Yeah. Just and then when Kamal got injured, thought Nakamba would be straight in. It did seem like the obvious choice, to be honest. Louise played well for 10 games in that number 6 position when we just about didn't get relegated. But apart from that, he's been erratic at best in that position. Like, he doesn't tackle hard enough, he moves the ball too slowly, and he doesn't get out about the pitch quick enough. So it's not really a combination for that number 6 position. That is going to get you a lot of win you a lot of games, because
Do
our
you know what,
midfield
Louise?
is just non-existent when he's in that position. Players just walk through him.
Do you know what it reminds me of? When you watch like a Masters football game, like the
Yeah.
over 50s, and you get like Jan Molby gets the ball, like casually gets it at the back, like rolls his foot, passes it across to, I don't know, David Burrows, I don't know, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the intensity is just not there. And that's why I think I do think sometimes, right, when I've watched this play, I'm not trying to defend him because I think he's been poor for us, but I think Coutinho sometimes, when he's been at it, as a players around him that haven't been at it, they've not read that next pass, they've not been in space for him, and I think a few of them could probably be in the same boat. And the reality is that if you've got good players around you on your level, you'll play better. He's certainly not produced enough, but he also can't do it all on his own when he plays.
Yeah, I agree. There's times when he's looked to pass the ball to someone and get it back. You've got to trust that you're going to get the ball back. To give the ball to someone, you've got to trust that they're going to give it you back. And there's so many times with Coutinho where he just doesn't trust the players to give him the ball back. Because and then he'll end up holding it for too long. You can see it, like there's players holding onto the ball for too long, and then they get pickpocketed from behind, and it's just like there's no options in front of them, or they just don't want to give the ball to their other teammate because they're scared that they're just gonna get it back. First goal, obviously, Harrison Reed, who I did point out would be was a good player for them in midfield, probably quite an underrated player. And we'd rode our luck at the start of the game. You could tell that Fulham were really at it. We were standing off, trying to hold position. I think not really pressing too much. We had just started to come into the game a little bit, but absolutely criminal defending from that set piece, and to not only not have him marked on the edge of the box, but to let him control the ball, look up and pick his spot to volley it into the bottom corner is just absolutely criminal, isn't it, Kev?
I mean, the way that they didn't get out to him. I mean, I think Bednarek was the first one out, and I don't know, maybe he thought he was going to hit it the other side of the goal, but I just didn't see people like putting their lives on the line, and I literally mean putting your lives on the line, but just doing everything you can do to get out to stop that ball going. I think the commentators talked about it. And Harrison Reed, he's a decent player. Came through Southampton's youth system, as they talked about. Went up. I think went to Fulham 2 or 3 years back. Bossing our midfield. Pereira bossing our midfield. Mitrovic, running the show up top. Their centre halves who've probably been around the club for a bit. Not giving our strikers not a sniff. We had a couple of half chances, but again, was there a real gilt edge chance we created today before the sending off? Anything we thought we should have done well at?
No, a couple of long range shots, and Ings had a shot just after they scored, but apart from that, it was pretty woeful, to be honest. And going in at 1-0 down at half time, nothing inspired any sort of confidence in me that we were going to get back. One other point, just on that first half, is obviously the team came out. What do you think was the reasoning for playing Konsa at right back?
Was it the extra height of Bednarek, do you think? The extra height of him against Mitrovic, maybe? I don't know. Or maybe did Cash have a knock? I don't know. It's
just, you've got Chambers. Was Chambers on the bench?
Chambers, I think, was on the bench, was he? I think he was.
You've got potentially Chambers on the bench who can play at right back. He didn't play. He couldn't play at right back when he for that half an hour against Leeds. So why would you play him at right back against Willian?
Yeah, the bench was Cash, Sanson, Buendia, Chambers, Nakamba, Coutinho, Olsen, and Dunker Archer. So
yeah, and also if Cash is carrying a bit of a knock, right? So you've got two reasons. Either he's dropped Cash because he hasn't been playing well enough, in which case why you put a centre back at right back, I don't know. You might want to put someone who's maybe a bit more used to that position in Callum Chambers there. Okay, so that's one thing. If he's worried about his fitness, then surely you would start the player and then take him off if he's got a little bit of an injury, than risk bringing him on and then having to make a sub again because he's not fit.
Yeah, and also, do you know what I think would have been a better option if you wanted to move it around a bit? Is shift Young to right back and play McGinn left back.
Yeah.
If you want to keep McGinn in your team, if that's what you want to do, I think McGinn should be out of the team. Should have been a long time ago. If you want to keep him in the team, he's adding no value in midfield. He gets stuck in. He's got a left foot. He runs about. If you're trying to make some solutions for this fullback issues we've got, and you didn't obviously Augustinsson's injured. Play McGinn left back. Play Young right back, and then you can bring in a Nakamba or a Dendoncker or a Sanson or I don't know anyone in that midfield. But McGinn, Ramsey, Louise. When has it worked ever as a Premier League midfield?
Yeah, and the Gaz has just put there like Konsa right back, and then you're putting him in. You got Bailey in front of him as well. Like it just doesn't. Like Bailey's lazy, as Gaz has pointed out there, and he just completely wasted a complete waste of time away from home. But you're playing him with a centre back who doesn't like playing at right back, so it's just a completely disjointed affair. Like there was one point that summed it up where Konsa gets the ball out on the right hand side in the first half, Bailey's hugging the touchline, and it's a straight ball or like pretty much straight ball up the line, and Konsa just puts it out of play, and it's just. Honestly, I can't understand it. I can't understand the thinking behind that. Like, it's just completely bizarre.
You can see the confidence.
Whole thing was just so disjointed.
You can see the confidence ebbing away, can't you, as well, with various things, with the various things that happened. That one moment when the crossfield ball came to, I think McGinn played it to Bailey, and if he'd taken a good touch, he might well have been with his momentum. He might have been in beyond the defence, and it just kind of went through him and went out of play. And he's supposed to be a £30 million next big thing winger that every club was after. I mean, it was just
I can't stand him, mate. I can't stand him. No. Especially his dad gives him all this build-up, says that he meant to be the best winger in Europe and all this absolute garbage. I just think he basically got whored around clubs in the pre-season, and we just took the bait. That's basically what we did. Like Perslow got a hard on for him, like, you know, because we thought this player who was so good, and watched some YouTube clips of it, and he thought, oh yeah, we'll steal a march on all these clubs and we'll get him. I didn't see any other clubs after him. I didn't see any other clubs going in a bidding war for him.
No, mate, I didn't.
Yeah,
honestly. Should we move on to the main talking point?
Yes, let's go.
So, a cacophony of noise from the away end tonight. There was the Forest game that we were at away. There was a few chants. There was obviously a few at the weekend, particularly with his reaction when he didn't acknowledge the fans against the Chelsea game. But tonight, all round, I mean, I was hearing, we want Gerrard out. I was hearing sacked in the morning, definitely being some of the Villa fans as well. So I could tell from the Brummie accent. Sacked in the morning. Then obviously, I think they were joining in. I think sometimes the Villa fans were singing the slip song about Stevie G, which is pretty harsh to your own manager. But yeah, we want Gerrard out and there's loads of tweets going around. My worry is, remember, like back in the kind of mid to late 90s, when like if Alan Kirbishley got sacked, like Ian Dowie would get the job 2 weeks later, and then Kirbishley would take over Dowie's job. I'm hoping that Gerrard and Liz Truss don't swap, because that'd really piss me off. I mean, look, obviously that's fairly big news today, but you know, you think coming up from that scenario thinking, oh my God, the country is in the absolute dirt, in the gutter, no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, whether you're like left, right, centre, whatever. The country's screwed, and then you think, well, at least I've got football to look forward to. And Villa are out the bottom 3 by 1 goal, and you know, we've got a horrendous record. Gerrard's lost half his games pretty much. It's the time we've been calling for this for a bit of time now. Well, at least some of us have, and we understand maybe why give it a bit more time, but it has to be.
It's just you know, as I said, I was saying, I was looking at players that are at fault. There's other issues, but the last couple of pods I've said it's inevitable that he's going to go, and yeah, and it's just not worked. It's just not worked for whatever reason, whether he's not quite ready or whatever. It's just not worked. Mark has said in post-match, look, we'll see what happens. I'm a fighter. I'll never ever quit. We'll see what happens moving forward. But he knows what's happening. You know that the statement's going to come. There's no way that you can outlast the away fans singing those type of songs. And also, you know, like we've said, you know, Louise doesn't help the situation. But when players are doing stuff like that on the pitch, when there's no shape, there's no kind of effort, you've got Critchley trying to stand up and shout at players to try and get them to run, you know it's gone.
Yeah, you know it's gone. And I think if the club have got anything about them in terms of being a real proper football club with real ambitions, they need to make a strong decision now. That's what leaders need to do in scenarios and in times of pressure. And yeah, maybe they want to see him face to face in the morning and talk to him. I don't know, but if he's in charge for Brentford, I don't know what they are smoking. What is the point? Even if you beat Brentford 1-0, does that mean that everything's fine? Does that mean that the corner's been turned? And they think the week after when we play Newcastle,
mate, we get battered at St James's Park. I'm really not looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's not like we're seeing positive signs. You know, you go to Fulham today, you lose 3-2, end-to-end game, a dodgy red card decision and a dodgy penalty, but you lose 3-2, you create loads of chances. We have 19 shots to their 4. You go, you know what? Unlucky, Stevie, let's go again. We've only played potentially well, you could argue, and I don't even think it was that good against Chelsea and Man City this season. We didn't play well against Everton. We played all right for the first 60, 70 minutes, and then the last 15 minutes we were clinging on by our fingertips. We beat Southampton, and we didn't play very well either there at all. We've not played well in a game all season. We didn't play well at the end of last season. despite the results, we didn't play well in pre-season. Really, did we? I mean, 2 of them Man United came out to 2-2.
A couple of solid-ish performances.
Leeds,
yeah,
Brisbane Roar, just
yeah.
about. Yeah, but
The Man United one was a decent performance, but that was about it.
It was a second half comeback, to be fair. Yeah, and I get
Yeah.
that entirely. But like, there was never any point we thought, do you know what? This team have got something.
Even you and Sam were saying, we can't see too many like passing. You can't see too many kind of passing moves or any kind of pattern of play and stuff. And we were like, give them a bit of time and they'll get it. But it just hasn't happened. Like looking at the stats for today as well, like 61% possession for Fulham, 39% for Villa, 2.12 expected goals for Fulham, 1.04 for Villa. 18 total shots for Fulham and 12 for Villa. 4 big chances for Fulham, 0 for Villa. 0 big chances missed for Villa, obviously, and 3 big chances missed for Fulham.
Well, Pereira had a couple, mate, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mitrovic had a header that nearly went in. That could have been worse.
78% possession, 78% accurate passes for Villa, 86% accurate passes for Fulham. And then 9 corners for Fulham and 7 corners for Villa. And we did absolutely bugger all with our corners again. I think the keeper caught 3 of them. I don't think we actually have any chance of getting a header.
No.
Like even just a header, not even on target, just a header from a corner.
And what's that got down to? Now we've got, even at times in the team, we had obviously Bednarek, we've got Mings, we've got Konza. We've got some players. We've got Watkins.
Yeah, Watkins is decent in the air. But even that, you think, okay, like they're not winning, they're not necessarily winning. So change it up. Put a player like a short one. Put a little bit of movement. Fulham did one where they hit it. They did what Grealish did against Derby. Fulham did that. Yeah, they all ran to the front post. The corner comes over, and he's got all the time in the world to volley it. Like, there's so many things you can do. But like I say, if I was a player and I've got Austin McPhee, like not being funny about how what he looks like and that, but you just wouldn't listen to him if you're a player. You'd just be like, nah, mate, I'm not having you.
No, and it's got to be over now, because even if you manage to get a 2-1 win against Brentford and a 1-1 draw against Newcastle, at some point down the line, there's going to be a bad defeat again.
Yeah,
there is,
yeah.
And you're just delaying the inevitable. And it shouldn't really be because the fans have turned that they should make the decision. They should be consistent with what they said, and they should do something about it. But the fact that the fans have turned now, his position is untenable now. It's untenable. And these guys that run the club are two, very, very successful business people, very successful, that have had to be ruthless in the past to make some decisions. Then the time is now. Gerrard must know it's coming, and I think we need to clear out of all of the coaching stuff. It did surprise me previously when they kept a few of the old coaching staff around. I get you might want continuity, whatever, but like clear it out, get in a new management team, and give the new manager a shed load of cash to spend, whatever you need to do. And any players that don't want to be there, that aren't up for the fight, get rid. Sell Bailey, 20 million back to the Bundesliga, take a loss on him. Sell Douglas Luiz, only signed a new contract. If Arsenal want him, have him, fine, go.
Yeah.
We've just got to get players now that are up for the fight and hungry. And I know it's easy to say this because it doesn't always turn out, but would we be doing any worse if we'd had Irobenham and Kessler Hayden and Keenan Davies playing tonight? Or, dare I say, if we'd had Trezeguet, Harahan and Target playing tonight? I don't think we would be doing any worse.
Target maybe not. Harahan, his legs had gone before that.
Well, you know what I mean. I
get you. Yeah. Well, we've made the point. El Ghazi and Traore. Look at the goals that they scored. They were far more productive. I do think there was something to say for the lockdown when they were in the side. And look, man, we can't ignore the elephant in the room of the player that we had in midfield. We just can't. It's probably going to take 3 or 4 years to get over that player. We don't realise how good he was and how effective he was. He used to take 3 players with him every single time he got the ball. And that, you think about the space that creates for other players. We just haven't got that. And fair enough, maybe we thought Coutinho might be able to bring some of that to the club, but it just hasn't worked. And I do understand what your point, where sometimes the players not aren't necessarily on the same wavelength as him, and he's a different type of player, isn't he? Completely, but yeah, it's so frustrating, guys. We've got some great numbers watching. Please do drop a like on the video if you haven't already. It'll be amazing if we can get over 50 likes. That would be brilliant. And if you haven't already, please drop us a subscribe. We are over 450 now. We are going to announce a special giveaway once we get that 500. So please consider subscribing to the channel if you're new, or if you haven't subscribed already. That would be amazing. Few comments come in. Gareth Gaskill, I don't know if he's a Blues fan at the minute. Can't sack Gerrard at this stage would be catastrophic for the rest of the season.
Gareth's the blue nose,
I think it might be catastrophic if we kept him. The sports capital, who's going to take over? Well, maybe we'll come to that in a minute, Kev, when once we've gone through the comments. Matt Smith, have to say, Villa should have had a pen before Fulham got their pen. That changed the game. Was that the one where Watkins got challenged by the keeper? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is that. I think it must be. I think he was in about that one. No, to be fair, I did think that had half a chance, but
yeah, I don't think VAR even looked at it, did it?
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
Yeah. Gary Howlett, cheers for tuning in, mate. Hi guys, Gerrard has to be the worst decision maker of all time, or is the unluckiest. And we need to act now, because we will be the whipping boys from now on. You mentioned this as well. Like, we're just so easy to play against, aren't we? Like, we're toothless up front, so teams can just drop off, because we're not going to do anything. And then at the moment, we're just really easy. Well, we did have quite a fairly solid defense, but our midfield is just non-existent. That's the issue. We just get completely dominated in midfield.
It reminds me of when I play football in the garden with my kids. Like, and I let my 6-year-old let her score like goals, but every now and then I'll kind of like block her off, put my body in the way. She got no chance of getting past me. I'm 41 and I've put a bit of timber on in the last 2 years. But you get my point.
Makes you feel good.
It makes me feel great. Yeah. I've said that before. Play 5-a-side, and you nutmeg a 62-year-old and bang it in. I'm like, yes, I'm the king. Like, Premier League footballer against Premier League footballer, and we look out of our depth. Not incisive, not dominating. Think about what kind of qualities you'd want from a player playing for a Premier League team, for your Premier League team. They don't look confident. The confidence has been sapped, and yet that might be an accumulation of the results and obviously the performances, but it has to come from the coaching. And let's not forget the other decisions. Dropping the captaincy from Mings, was it needed? Was McGinn's performances so stand out that he was a clear option to be the captain? I think McGinn wasn't great last season either. So
no.
So that's the decision that you make. Was it not better to maybe give it to Martinez? I know Young wasn't maybe going to be a starter, and if you haven't got somebody good enough, then sign someone to be that player. We can see that happening. Were you right to go into a season with Ings, Watkins, and Archer as your only striking options? That's it. That is it. Period. Like, did you have confidence watching them play that we were going to score goals? With the Coutinho who's dropped off in the last few years, with the Buendia who's flattered to deceive, with the Bailey is flattered to deceive. Buendia and Bailey had been with us obviously longer than just this summer. With the Ramsey, who had a good first proper season in the team, but is it all of a sudden is your great hope, Jacob Ramsey?
Exactly.
Did we not see with the inconsistency of delivery of fullbacks? Sorry, I'm getting a rant here. Cash and Dini's delivery has been poor. With the way the centre halves cannot pass, can't find a diagonal. The amount of times you've got an option for a diagonal pass, we never play it, or the pass. We were saying this the other day. How often does Mings get the ball and pass it to Young behind him rather than in front of him? How often does that happen? This is the fine margins in football, and we are just not good enough at football.
Well, the passing is basic, though. Passing is just basics. 10-yard passing is basics, and we don't get that right. Wayne Walden, thanks for tuning in, mate. From a Fulham fan, we were too good against Villa tonight. You played really well, and it's one of those grounds where once the atmosphere gets going, it's a really tough place to go, and we've never done well at Fulham. And
credit to Fulham
tonight.
Fair play.
Tonight showed that we didn't deserve absolutely anything from them.
Rich, can I just say on that point as well? Fulham did tonight what Villa should be doing against teams. They played against a team that were not in great form. Like when we played West Ham at home, Bournemouth first day of the season. He played against a team not in great form and did what a good team should do. They dispatched us. We were there to be taken, and they did it. Great job, Fulham.
Yeah.
But showing us what we don't do often enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, like, there's just no. The other thing that really, really, really winds me up, right, is there's no talking on the pitch. There's no one like getting in players' faces, like having a go at them, like if Bailey's not putting a challenge in, who's going up to him and telling him, like, put a challenge in? Who's going up to Louise and telling him to hurry the fuck up? Like, who is doing that? There's no one telling anyone what to do. Who's having to go at Watkins for not holding the ball up? Who's having to go at Danny Ings for not running in behind? Like, surely they're a team and they should be able to handle some criticism against each other and hold each other to account. Like, no, not one player is on there telling them. It's silent. When it got a bit quiet, when Fulham the fans were a tiny bit quiet, and then you could hear a few Villa chants. I couldn't hear anything from the pitch. I could hear not one player calling out, digging each other out, getting each other riled up. Like, nothing at all. Like, no, there's no team spirit whatsoever. Nothing. There's no leaders. There's no, like, Ashley Young is a great professional, and I'm sure he would be one that would do it. Tyrone Mings does talk, but all the rest of them, they're just absolute arseholes. Absolute arseholes. All they're doing is playing for themselves. Like, they don't give a shit about the club. They don't care one jot about. They're just like, I'm all right, Jack. Like, I'm fine. I'll get another move. They could not give a shit about us.
That training video, it might just be a snapshot, of a moment, and I'm sure you could video all of us at work for a minute each day, and we look shit. But it just looked like they just were going through the motions, and like anything really. I mean, there's a famous book, isn't there, by Matthew Syed, who wrote the book Bounce.
Yeah.
For those who haven't heard of it, but it's basically about the myth of talent. And he talks a lot in the book around. I wasn't planning on doing a plug for a book, but here we go. He talks a lot about basically, look at the Williams sisters in tennis. Look at David Beckham. We talk about whether these people are born with it or do they work at it. And the key bit they talk about is purposeful practice, because the argument someone uses is, well, they talk about 10,000 hours of practice. Well, I've been driving over 10,000 hours. Why am I not a Formula One driver? And because it's the intensity. It's the kids at a young age who, the two young girls who wanted to go tennis training with a dad. That's what it is. It's the intensity. Do our Villa players, is it everything to them? Does it consume them? Do they want to be the best they can be? Do they want to be like Gerrard would like as a player? Is that them? And we definitely...
Is that why Gerrard can't get it out of them? Because he can't see that, he just doesn't see that same drive in them?
Maybe. But we know we've got some good players in that squad. It's been talked about a lot. But we've also got some players that are not good enough. And that writing has been on the wall for that for ages. And more for them. Because I felt it in pre-season. I watched quite a few of the pre-season games where I could. And I just thought we looked bang average. We looked bang average at the end of last season. We didn't finish the season well at all. And we've started the season terribly. Our record this year is... I mean, his record must be worse than Dean Smith's now. And his record's getting close to Remy Gard and Tim Sherwood. And at least Sherwood had a bit of fight and a bit of an idea.
Yeah.
I would rather Tim Sherwood in charge than Steven Gerrard. I mean, I'd rather Eamon Holmes and Llewellyn Benjamin in charge than Steven Gerrard.
It's completely untenable. But yeah, I'm sorry I had a bit of a rant there. But Weston said, couldn't agree more. Stu MC said, far too many charlatans. Cash, Dina, Buendia and Coutinho are egotists, yet integral for Gerrard. AJ, utter arseholes. Yeah, there you go. AVFC 85, he's lost the dressing room. You can see it in his body language, hunched over in the dugout all game long. Gary, they're waiting for him to go. They aren't winners. Gaza, I can see it in the player's body language. He's lost the dressing room too. Statistically, only Gard and Sherwood have worse losing records, and they inherited awful teams.
Sherwood with this team would get a much better tune out of him.
Yeah, and Gaza, hey, can you remember when we all dreamed of Europe at the start of the season?
Gaza, piss off. I don't know.
It's Gaza, always the hope that kills you.
Gaza, I still have memories of when I thought we were going to sign Ward-Prowse and keep Jack Grealish. I still think about that probably 3 or 4 times a day, and the vision of Grealish jinking past the defender edge of the box, Ward-Prowse, top corner, we're going to make it. I still think about that, and I forgot about the fact we were going to be in Europe. Now we look like we're going to go down. Fuck my life, and all of our
Yeah,
lives.
yeah. Well, just before we finish up, mate, because yeah, it is painful. It is painful, but should the inevitable happen overnight or in the morning, I'm sure they're just talking compensation now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Who comes in?
Well, the manager odds that I've seen are Pochettino's favourite. You've got Unai Emery, you've got Michael Beale, you've got Thomas Tuchel, you've got Thomas Frank, you've got Sean Dyche. So I don't think Michael Beale's going to go anywhere. He's already turned Wolves down, so I think it'd be surprising to come out. I mean, I don't think he's quite Fabian Delph territory to say he's going to stay and then to turn around, a couple of days later. I'd like to think, despite all of this stuff we've said, that we are still a huge draw, massive club. You've only got to think about how people talk about us, around the game, be it like a Gary Neville or, players. Villa, great history, all the positives we know that we forget about sometimes. But if we couldn't attract a Pochettino, a Tuchel, or an Emery, if that's who they want, then I'd be surprised. Throw a bit of money at Effie. You've got to tell the Pochettino, there's your salary. Who cares? They're billionaires. Pay him whatever the fuck he wants. Give him his cash. Get him in. Give him 150 million to spend. FFP considerations, whatever. But and let him have a go at it, and get behind him, and let's see the team play with a style and intensity. If you go beyond him, Tuchel and Emery, I don't really know. Dyche, I like Sean Dyche a lot.
Can't do Dyche.
I think we're better than Sean Dyche.
Yeah,
I think we're better than Sean Dyche. Who do you think, mate? Who would you have?
I definitely have Poch, but I just don't think he will come to us. I've said that already. I think the only potential chance we've got of Poch is if we have a caretaker manager until the World Cup, and then no one else bites over the World Cup break for Poch. That's the only time. That's the only way we get him, I think.
But I wouldn't even want him there, because if that happened, who's to stop another club coming in 6 months?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, I don't think I just. He's already said that he wants to keep his options open. I don't see another Premier League manager moving to us.
Why would Thomas Frank leave?
Yeah, no chance. So
why would he?
I don't know who comes in. Like Gaz has mentioned there, the Celtic manager is top class, Postecoglou. But then we talk about he does have a real style of football. He does, but we talk about another manager from the Scottish League. Weston Oud says AVB is in the running. Nunes, sorry, or is it, I don't know if that's Nunes or Nuno. Southgate, absolutely not.
Oh my God.
Big T says Roy Keane. No, honestly, I really don't know. I think Emery wouldn't be a bad shout. I quite like, I thought he was fairly unlucky. I thought he was fairly unlucky at Arsenal, and has done well at Villarreal.
Yeah.
So I do quite like Emery. Out of those names, I probably would plump for him.
Yeah, there's got to be some managers as well. Whether there's a manager, I think, is it a River Plate? I think
what about if after the World Cup? So like some options might open up after the World Cup. Like say if Belgium don't do great, what about Roberto Martinez?
I've never really rated Martinez. I mean, I
haven't, but
I mean, could you see us going for him? I don't know. I want to be excited. We were excited by Gerrard's appointment, but clearly
we were.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind if it was a manager that was not a massive name. But look at Thomas Frank. No one knew who Thomas Frank was, but they've got a real style of football. No one knew who Potter was when he came in from Ostersunds. Into his first job.
Swansea, then Brighton. Yeah.
He played for Blues, played for Stoke. He was like a journeyman footballer, but he's got ideas. He's got a plan. And I think someone said in the comments, we were priced out of Potter. Potter was a Villa fan, so if we'd wanted Potter and we didn't get him, then more for them.
Yeah,
more for us. We're the ones that support the club and spend the money.
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know. Big T said Bielsa. I don't know if we'd have the Villa fans would have the stomach for Bielsa, to be honest. I think we'd he'd play attacking football, but I just don't think we'd have the I don't think we'd have the stomach for the rock and roll football that he plays. Although Pochettino is a graduate of Bielsa, so
Yeah,
You
I
know,
don't think also we should go for a manager that's kind of like, unproven. I think we've got Jack in the comments said John Terry, but like I don't think we should be looking at a manager that is trying out with Villa, see how they get on. We need
yeah,
someone. I say proven. I don't mind if they're proven somewhere else for like 6-7 years. In the there's some really great managers in Scandinavia who are very highly rated. There'll be some good managers in South America. Look, you've proven over the years it hasn't got to be, it hasn't got to be a Sean Dyche, Alan Kirby, British manager, Sam Allardyce, whatever. But again, they should have the reach to get some good options in. But if there's half a chance of Pochettino, whatever it takes.
yeah.
Whatever it takes.
He's the obvious, like not he's not the obvious choice, but he's the one who's available, isn't he? Who's not in a job, and obviously he's been talked up. But just the kind of usually a manager's agent or a manager will tout himself for jobs or put himself out there. He hasn't done that with anyone. He hasn't done so, certainly not Villa. He hasn't done that with anyone. So I just can't see it. I really can't. But it would be a massive coup if we managed to get him, and we'd have to pay the big bucks to get him. But I actually think, some of the guys are saying there. Duncan said a continental management style. Gaz is saying the German manager. I do think it will be, a slightly left field choice, like German type coach with that, that Gegen press, that kind of, that sort of style. That'll come in. It seems to be quite fashionable with those type of managers at the moment. So I do think it probably will be a fairly highly rated coach as opposed to a big name manager sort of type person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think also the manager hasn't got to be beating their chest, pumping the air kind of manager. I just want them to do their talking in terms of why the players play.
I want them to drop McGinn. That's what I want them to do. And McGinn's actually done an interview for Amazon, just basically saying performance was completely embarrassing. It's a good 3 minute long interview, I think, as far as I can see. But yeah, just saying it's completely embarrassing. But yeah, I really think that was real stubbornness. I think Neil Warnock got it right today. I don't know if you saw the clip of him at Talksport, but Gerrard completely got it wrong with the fans. Like at first, we liked that kind of steely sort of appearance and that kind of, win at all costs sort of mentality. But as soon as it started to kind of turn towards the end of last season, and then the bullish talk at preseason, then it just didn't happen. He probably needed to get that humility and sort of talk to the fans and try and get the fans on side, and he just didn't do it. He's ended up alienating himself from the fans, and it's just absolutely no coming back now because, like you said, even if he gets a win on Sunday, and he's still magically in the job, there's just no way he's gonna win back the fans. Like, what's he gonna do now? Clap the fans when we win? Like, they're just gonna tell him to do one, aren't they?
It'd just be absolutely pointless if he kept him in the job. Now we got to this point where the entire Ryan is pretty much singing, the Stevie G Slippy song, and we want Gerrard out, and all the rest of the songs. What are you going to do? As I said, you could feasibly beat Brentford. You ain't beating Newcastle away. Absolutely no chance. And then you've got Man United a couple of times in the cup and obviously in the league. And then you've got Brighton away, and I know they've not been in great form. And then you've got the World Cup, and what happens then? You give them 6 weeks to see what they can do to get a bit of form back. Are we gonna start showing some form against all those teams? Use that time to give the new manager a chance to bed in, to get their squad in the best position that they can, to get some people lined up, to get scouts in all the bloody World Cup games to see what talent's out there that we don't know, because maybe you can pick up a bargain from a player you've not really heard of. Go at it in January. Let's make sure now, and it's a can't believe I'm saying this, let's make sure we stay up this season.
Yeah. I can't believe when Gaza was just coming there, we was talking before about as if we were thinking about Europe at the start of the season, and now we talk about we need a manager to actually just keep us up. Next, we'll be saying let's get Big Sam in for the rest of the season.
I honestly would, if I had an option between Big Sam and Gerrard, I'd take Big Sam. At least his teams
what about Neil Warnock? Let's get Warnock in.
At least their teams have some fight. At least the teams go out there and play for the manager, and Big Sam can get let's get off this Warnock and
No,
Allardyce
yeah,
train
no,
right now.
because someone will clip that up.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. When we get Pochettino, you were calling for Allardyce, Kevin Rich. Yeah, look. The club have to make a decisive decision now. They have to put all the fans with the level of respect we deserve. They have to do what needs to be done now. Get him out. I don't care if there's an interim in charge. They've got to move him on. They've got to move him on.
Yeah.
Get him out and play the bloody the under-23s manager. Give him the gig for the weekend. Could you do any worse? Give Brian Little's at the club. He's an ambassador, isn't he? Get Brian Little as caretaker manager for a couple of games until you get someone. I don't care. Like, do something. Something, but you've got to do something quickly, because we will be an embarrassment and a laughing stock if he's doing that press conference for the Brentford game, talking about how things don't go your way. The Louise red card was a bit unfortunate. It was never a penalty with the handball. What are we like? We should have had a penalty for Watkins. Get the violins out. If he's doing the press conference now for Brentford, I'll be absolutely raging.
Yeah, well, we'll do a preview for Brentford over the next couple of days. Maybe tomorrow. Well, I'm sure there'll be news tomorrow, so we'll probably be back on tomorrow. I'm sure, mate. Whether it's discussing the inevitable
Pochettino incoming
club statement.
Come on.
We'll also be previewing the Brentford game, and but they just to quickly on them, they got a good point against Chelsea. We obviously got beat against Chelsea, so another team that have a good way of playing and have play some good football, have a good striker who puts the ball in the back of the net, holds the ball up well, everything that we don't have. We'll save it for tomorrow, but I'm really not looking forward to it. I'm really not looking forward to facing Brentford at the moment.
No, I'm not looking forward to taking my kids down to Villa Park, and I'm sure there's loads of Villa fans that feel the same. The atmosphere at Chelsea in the first half, I mean, particularly after they scored that early goal, it was flatter than a pancake. It was just the fans are just, you can just tell there's real apathy there, like, and that's because it's been sucked out of us for months, and it annoys me actually when people are like, "Oh, the Villa fans need to support the team more." It's impossible. It's impossible to keep going and going and going. It's the definition of insanity. We've been served up this absolute tripe for long enough now. For long enough.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah. Yes, mate. Before I get a couple of final words from you, just want to say thanks for everyone for watching. Thank you for all your comments. We've got our usual regulars, so thank you guys for supporting our channel and getting involved in the comments. It's much appreciated. We've had some great new viewers as well today, so please drop a like on the video, and please subscribe to the channel if you're new. As I say, we're well on the way to 500 subscribers, and considering we just started in September, considering how the team are doing as well, we are so thankful for you guys, support. And Gary said, "Yeah, we must be insane because we keep watching it." Absolutely. I don't know if that's our channel or whether that's the Villa, but probably both. Probably both. But yeah, guys. Thank you. Yeah, like I say, please drop a like on the video. If we can get over 50 likes, that would be amazing. If we get to 100, that would be absolutely crazy. Kev, yeah, final words from you, mate, before we sign off on today's episode.
Well, mate, it might have been 3 or 4 weeks ago. What was the game when I said that you were boring me and I was boring myself? And I'm bored of the podcast, and I'm bored of life, and I'm bored of the Villa. Well, that's gone into overdrive now. I'm trying not to lose the plot too much, because the one positive I'm looking at is if we'd have maybe had a 1-0 defeat, plucky 1-0 defeat tonight, or a 1-1 draw, the agony might have kept going. Sometimes you need a significant thing to get change to happen. So my final words are that, and maybe this is a positive, and let's just hope we're looking in January with a couple of signings that come in, because our new coach has got good reach and good contacts, and we're going up the league, and McGinn's not starting every game just because he's captain, and there's some good signs around the corner, because this must be rock bottom now. It can't get any worse than this under Gerrard. And in the words of Yaz, the only way is up, hopefully, for Aston Villa.
Yeah, well, what a place to finish it. Yeah, hopefully the only way is up. And yeah, Thank you everyone for watching. We hope for better times soon. And but as always, we'll keep supporting, we'll keep fighting, and we remember we all follow the Villa. Thanks everyone.
Cheers
See
for
you
support,
soon.
guys. Appreciate it.
Bye bye. Bye.